Hey everyone, Piano Man Chuck here. Today I have with me two stage pianos. I've got a Nord Stage 2 and I've got a Kawai MP11. Now, due to popular demand, people have been asking me what do the piano samples sound like between the Nord Stage 2 and the Kawai MP11. And that was the primary intention of this video. And I knew there were a lot of similarities between these two boards, but while I was setting this up, I realized that there's more similarities than meets the eye. Even though these are two completely different stage pianos for two completely different purposes, the one thing they share in common is the piano section, and they both do a great job at that. But here's some other similarities. This is metal. This is metal. This is wood. This is wood. So they're both built like tanks. If you're going to transport these, you don't have to worry about anything happening to them. They are solid. They're built like a tank. Now, as far as the sections, they each have three different sections, but they're three different sections. The only section they have in common is a piano section. So here we have an organ section on the NS2, we have a piano section, and we have a synthesizer section. Coming over to the Kawai MP11, we have a piano section, an electric piano section, and a subsection. And all of these are self-explanatory. You know what the organ does, you know what the piano does, you know what a synthesizer does. And the synthesizer on this is out of this world. You can do a lot of things with this synthesizer. We come over to the third section here. I mean, it's self-explanatory: piano, electric piano, sub. The subsection is broken down into strings, pads, harps and mallets, and bass. So each one of these three sections on each of these two different units have independent volume controls. You can actually turn that section on or off. You can layer that section with any of the other section or sections. So there's a lot of similarities in that respect. The Nord Stage 2 triple pedal and the Kawai triple pedal look almost identical. The only difference is the Kawai MP11 comes with that triple pedal, whereas on the Nord Stage 2 you pay extra for that. I believe it's like $399. It's a little steep, but in each case, that's what a real piano has. It has three pedals. You know, a soft pedal, a sostenuto pedal, and a damper pedal, or sustain pedal, whatever you want to call it. Now, as far as these two pianos, they both can be used as full master controllers for MIDI. So you can hook this up to another device or to another controller. And that's actually exactly what I did over here. On the Kawai MP11, I've hooked up the MIDI out to the MIDI in of the Nord Stage 2. So from here, I can play the Kawai's keyboard, the keys over here, and I can trigger the sounds from here. Or I can just play this and just play whatever's on here. Now, the two best piano samples, which are loaded into each one of these right now, the Nord has the Italian Grand, which is known as the Fazioli, which is loaded into here. It's a fantastic sounding piano. And on the Kawai, their Concert Grand is loaded, which actually is sampled from the Kawai EX Concert Grand piano. You know, that big $200,000 piano that you see at symphony orchestras and stuff. So they both have excellent pianos in here. The samples on this is actually long samples. They're like 120% longer than most of the other samples. But the main difference is when you're comparing these two strictly as a piano, nothing else, it boils down to control, and that control comes from the action, how the keys feel. Now, the action on the Nord Stage 2 is not that great. It is a Fatar action, and I believe it's TP40, correct me if I'm wrong. It's okay, but since you're dealing with an organ, which is a light action, I can understand why they didn't use a better action for the piano. Kawai actually manufacturing real acoustic grand pianos. They are one of the two manufacturers that actually use an action that is similar or very, very, very close to what they use in the grand pianos. In fact, this one is using a action called the grand feel. Now, that's this action right here. This is why this piano is so long, because it uses the longest key sticks in the industry. The key sticks are actually made of wood, and there's triple sensor technology here, as well as let off, which is that subtle feeling. If you press really lightly, you'll feel a little bit of a resistance point, and then you can press a little harder to complete your keystroke. But when you're playing regular, you don't feel that at all, just like on a grand piano. But because of these key sticks being full length, just like on a regular concert grand piano, that's what gives this the extended length over something like this. Okay. Now, as for what each of these sound like, let's just do a simple arpeggio here, C arpeggio chords. Okay, and let's try the same thing on the Kawai. Okay, so they both sound pretty good, right? Now, rather than going back and forth, I have set up a MIDI cable from the MIDI out on the Kawai MP11 to the MIDI in of the Nord Stage 2 so that I don't have to keep on going back and forth. Besides, I prefer the action of the Kawai MP11 better. So, let's change gears here. So now, I can play one of these pianos at a time from the same keyboard, or I could actually play both of them together. So here's what I want to do. Let's start out with something like Farrelly's. Now let's try the same thing using the Fazioli sample that's built into the Nord Stage 2. We're going to turn off the piano section here, and I'm going to press my zone 1, which activates my MIDI to the Nord Stage 2. Okay, now, to be fair, we're not changing anything on either of these, but I do have a reverb on here. And I want to match the reverb over here. So let me get the reverb up over here. Aha. All right, so let's make the reverb a little bit more like the other one. That sounds a little bit better, doesn't it? Okay, let's go with that. Let's try this again. That makes a bit of a difference. And let's try that with the Fazioli. Okay, so let's just for fun try both together. Okay, so you get the idea. All right, and right now both are off. Let's go back to the piano of the Kawai, and let's just do some chords. And the same thing again with the Fazioli. Okay, so let's just do a little bit more here. Let's try something with the Kawai. And let's try that same thing with the Fazioli on the Nord Stage 2. Kawai. Fazioli. Okay, and Kawai. I can play both of these all day long. And one really isn't better than the other. They're both phenomenal. But the taste is all yours. Some people are going to like the Fazioli. Some people are going to like the Kawai. Some people are going to like both. Some people can't tell the difference between the two of them. But most people can, I'm sure. They are both phenomenal pianos, but as a pianist, with the control that I have here, and with these knobs and buttons and the layout that it presents, and with the actual screen that I have here, as opposed to the cigarette size LCD screen on the Nord Stage 2, things are much easier. Now in the Nord Stage 2, all these buttons and knobs, they're all set up in such a way everything is dedicated, which is cool because you don't have to go through a menu system. If you want to do some EQ adjustments or reverb, It's real easy. The same thing here, but if you take something simple like EQ, and while you have EQ over here that's set up, where you have your treble, mid, and bass, and you have a drive, and you have frequency, and you have a source that's separate for each one of these three sections, whereas you have the same kind of thing over here, but I can take it a step further because this has a really nice screen built into it, that LCD, and I have four knobs here, and these are actually programmable. But when I go to EQ, I can actually get a parametric EQ right on my screen, so I've got a graph that I can see of exactly what I'm doing, and I prefer that so much better than just looking at numbers that are going by on a dial. I can fine tune that EQ much better over here. So, whether you like how the piano sounds on this one better than on that, the beauty of this being a master controller is you can take even a virtual piano that's running on your computer, whether that's Ravenscroft or the new Garrett and Yamaha. It's beautiful. You can just play this on the Action the way it is. So hopefully this has helped you out between the two. And as a pianist, again, I would choose the Kawai because it's so easy to operate and the Action, best on the market. But 71 pounds, which is not for everybody. It's a professional piano, so you might have a road crew, and that's great. Or maybe you're young and you can do this without hurting your back, but it is so well worth it once it's set up on the stage. And I think most people that are purchasing these things are going to have this sitting in their living room or their home studio. With the Nord Stage 2, 41 pounds, also not too light, but it's 30 pounds less than this. But it doesn't feel anything like this at all. So, Piano Man Chuck, peace out. Thanks for watching.